On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Ivan Delgado, file number 24-00429.
It's supposed to be interpreted here. She is here, but I know she also Zoom hearing down the hall she was attending to.
So we do have another interpreter here.
There's
for a
another
victim of a
interpreter
different
here.
case. Like 3. Right.
But she wasn't here on the Delgado matter?
No, Your Honor.
Who was the interpreter on the Delgado?
That is the individual who's on a Zoom meeting right now that was here for the Delgados.
Okay.
She's just on.
We'll wait for her because she's already being paid to be here for that. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Carlos Diaz-Torrance, file number 24-01062.
Good morning, Your Honor. Case Mark Rayan appearing on behalf of the people. First, make a motion to practice under Michigan Court Rule number 8.120.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Mr. Diaz-Torrance.
Motion is granted. Today was the date that was set for a final pre-trial. I do have a Nolly. The people are moving to dismiss in the interest of justice.
Oh,
It's not for that case, Your Honor. That's for marriage.
Oh, okay, it's in the wrong file. Okay. Okay, how are we proceeding today?
Your Honor, we have the necessary witnesses here, and we were ready to proceed. I have his number in case we need him, but I know we have the bench trial that is priority.
I'm sorry, you said you have the necessary witnesses here?
Yes, Your Honor. Jonathan Collins, Your Honor.
What were you saying about a phone number?
I have his number in case we need him back, but I know we had a bench trial running that takes priority. So I just sent it down. Coffee.
Okay, how are we proceeding on this?
It is our intention to proceed in trial.
Because we're running a big trial, so I'm going to reset this for a new date. November 19th at 8 a.m. November 19th, 8 o'clock in the morning. Do you have any questions today? And so it's the 28th this year. They did the 28th in November. Any questions? No?
No, Your Honor.
Any additional matters for the record?
Nothing from the people.
No, Your Honor.
We'll get you your notice to appear. I'm like, when is Thanksgiving? It must be, yeah. On the record of the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Lydia M, number 24-00996, council appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Case Mark Rayan appearing on behalf of the people. We're just waiting for Mr. Raleigh to come back.
Right.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Ms. Maris, Your Honor.
Was the date that was set for final pre-trial. This is the matter that the people are moving to dismiss without prejudice.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and that's in the interest of justice.
Yes, Your Honor, if I may make a record. We spoke to the necessary witness, Ms. Mayers, or this is her mother on this case, Your Honor. We spoke to her this morning. We also communicated with her prior to today where she indicated she did not want this case to go to trial. She was seeking for us to dismiss the case. And this morning when we spoke to her, Mr. Martinez spoke to her off the record. She advised that she believed this was all an accidental hit, an accidental touching. It was not intentional, which directly undermines the assault battery charge itself. So we need to dismiss for those.
Assuming there's no objection.
No objection.
A copy of the dismissal, and you'll be all set, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. The record in the matter of the people of this state of Michigan versus Usnil Beltray, file number 24-02235.
Morning, Your Honor. Case marked hearing, appearing on behalf of the people.
Jacob Brown on behalf of Mr. Beltray, Your Honor. I will note that hired an interpreter to communicate with Mr. Beltray, and I don't believe we have one
What language?
in Spanish.
Well, my understanding is we have multiple Spanish-speaking interpreters in the building today.
The issue with the one that we have for our case, Your Honor, is that it's for the victims on the Beltray case. So I don't know if that would cause a conflict.
The one that's on the record in another court?
One that's right here.
Oh, there's a one on another court, okay. So we'll call that back when the other interpreter comes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Benny Ross, 24-02251, council appearance.
Morning, Your Honor. Case marked hearing, appearing on behalf of the people. Yes, Your Honor, it was Ms. Sutter. She's out today, so I believe Mr. Raleigh's filling in for her as well.
I have a moment to confer with Mr. Ross before we proceed. One of Lauren Sutter's cases. I need to speak to her briefly before I.
Your Honor, we don't have the necessary witnesses here on this case. If that expedites me.
Okay, this is 9 o'clock.
In that case, Jacob Brown on behalf of Mr. Ross, Your Honor.
How do you want to proceed?
We don't have the necessary witnesses here. We've attempted to call, by my count, about 6 or 7 times. We've never had successful contact, so people are unable to proceed.
Mr. Rowland,
Next would move to dismiss at this time, Your Honor.
motion to dismiss is granted. It's granted without prejudice. The people have the right to reissue this charge against you if they later make contact with the necessary witness. Do you understand that? Do you have any questions about that? I'll get you a copy of your dismissal. You can have a seat. Okay, did the interpreter return, I believe?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Ivan Delgado, file number 24-00429, council appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Case marked hearing, appearing on behalf of the people.
Hey, good morning, Your Honor. Dustin Kingsbury, Von Delgado.
We have an interpreter. Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm to interpret in the matter before the court completely and accurately and not divulge confidential communication. So help you God. It was the date and the time that was set for a final pretrial. And this is where stock matter. How are we proceeding?
Your Honor, at this time, the people are unable to proceed. The necessary witness on this case I spoke to, or has failed to appear. I spoke to him yesterday. He advised that he is at least temporarily and potentially permanently relocated to California. He talked about coming back to Michigan and being able to pursue this case. He also told us that he did not get his subpoenas at the address we had. I asked for an updated address or even an email address to send subpoenas to. He could not provide one or would not provide one. So at this time, we're unable to proceed.
And Your Honor, I'll be moving to dismiss.
Okay, motion to dismiss is granted without prejudice. The people have the right to reissue the charge against you in the statutory timeframe if they have contact with the witness, okay? Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, we'll get you a copy of your dismissal.
Your Honor.
Thank you. On the record in the matter, the people of the state of Michigan versus Usnil Viltre, file number 24-02235. We need the interpreter as well. Can you have that interpreter come back, please? We have another matter we need you on.
Okay.
Council appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Casey Markarian appearing on behalf of the people.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Mr. Giltree.
Okay, today's the date and time set for a final pre-trial for a child abuse, fourth, and domestic violence. How are we proceeding?
Your Honor, there was an offer. I'm not sure if they're planning to accept it. The offer was to plead guilty as charged to domestic violence with 7694A and or a Killebrew agreement to no upfront jail, and we would dismiss the child abuse fourth charge.
To the Poly Real Connect service.
At this time, Your Honor, we are not accepting the plea. That's if the matter be left set for trial.
Okay, the matter is scheduled for trial October 22nd, 8 AM in person at the court. Mr. Viltre, do you have any questions?
October 22nd is the trial.
Yes.
What was the charge about the child?
Child abuse, fourth degree.
That continues?
All of the charges, there's two charges. There's a child abuse, fourth degree, and a domestic violence. You were arraigned on both of those. Have you spoken to your attorney?
Yes.
Okay, so you know what your offer for a plea offer was?
No.
It's for you to plead guilty to the domestic violence with a deferred sentence. That means that if you are successful on a term of probation, the charge will be non-public and they would dismiss the child abuse. Is this the first time you heard this offer?
¿Es la primera vez que escuchan la oferta? Ya la ves. Yes, my attorney did tell me.
Okay, and you do not want to accept the offer, correct?
No, he also said it. Explain to him. He's confused about what the offer is.
Okay, what is he confused about?
Okay. No quiere la oferta. I don't want the offer.
Okay, so the matter will continue to trial on both charges, okay? You have any questions?
No, yeah.
Any additional matters for the record?
Nothing further from the people.
That's a good defense room.
You're all set. We need to make sure there's an interpreter for that case. We need to make sure there's an interpreter on that file. You're all set. Thank you. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Bernard Lewis Dean, file number 24-00461, council appearance.
Your Honor, case Mark Herring appearing on behalf of the people.
Jacob Rowley on behalf of Bernard Lewis Dean.
Okay, Mr. Bernard Lewis Dean, today's the date set for a jury trial, but my understanding is there was a plea.
Yep, appreciate your honor.
Okay, so you're going to plead guilty to a controlled substance use, Schedule 5 or LSD under MCL 333.74042C. Is that correct? There's a kilo brew, which is a sentencing agreement. It says no upfront jail. That your understanding of the offer. Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury. Advice of rights, plea information sheet. One of these pages you were supposed to keep. Pass those to him, please. You need these? Okay, that's your signature? You understand the rights listed here? Do you have any questions about any of those rights? So you want to give each of those rights up today in order to plead guilty to use of controlled substance, Schedule 5. Okay. You understand that you have the presumption of innocence, so that means you would give up your right to the presumption of innocence if you plead guilty. You have the right to require the prosecution prove your guilt by proving each element of the charges being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to jury trial, and you can remain silent at jury trial. Not have the silence be used against you, or you can waive your silence and testify at your trial if you like. You have the right to subpoena witnesses that will testify for you and present evidence that you believe show a defense to the charge being brought against you. And you have the right to see, hear, or question in court any of the witnesses called to testify against you. You understand those rights that you'd be giving up? Anybody threatening you to give those rights up? Promises being made in exchange for a guilty plea. Currently on probation or on parole. Understand that if your plea is accepted, it could result in a conviction that you may need to report to your current employer, or you may need to put a conviction on a future job application. Excuse me. It also could have impact on travel and immigration status that you might see. So you may want to go out of the country on a vacation somewhere, and that country could deny you entry into their country due to this conviction. You understand that? There's just so much noise. I couldn't even hear you. You need to speak up louder.
I didn't understand that one. So that's if this goes the wrong way, then I can't travel with the
I didn't say you couldn't travel. I'm saying you could be denied entry into certain countries. Certain countries don't let people with criminal histories into their territory. So that could happen.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. As to the controlled substance use of a Schedule 5 or LSD. How do you plead, sir? Not guilty?
Guilty, I'm sorry.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am.
You're pleading guilty because you believe you're guilty?
It was found in my possession. Yes,
Was found in your possession? Okay, I need a little bit more factual basis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Lewis Dean, that on August 17th, 2023, you were in a vehicle in the parking lot of Prego Park off of North Aurelius Road.
yes,
Is that in the city of Lansing, state of Michigan? Did you have contact with police officers at that location?
yes, I did.
Did this contact with police eventually search your vehicle?
Yes, I did.
Did you find a substance, mushrooms, this mind-altering mushrooms in your possession?
Yes, I did.
Did you know that you had those in your possession?
And I was unaware.
They were with you at all?
For drug movement stuff. Yes, to search for weapons. That's what we searched for.
You know that you had received them at some point, but you still had.
Yes, I just didn't know I put them in the vehicle. Am I saying something wrong?
You just
No,
need to
you're,
please
you're
answer.
saying what's honest. You're supposed to tell the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury. Okay, so you're not saying anything wrong. I just want you to tell the truth, okay?
Okay.
Did you know that you had possession of these substances?
Yes,
Likely a illegal substance.
yes, sir.
I believe that's a factual basis, Your Honor.
Questions from the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Lewis Dean, you know you had these substances at some point.
Yes, I did.
Did you knowingly possess them when you had them?
When we possessed them, I had them.
Did you,
Elaborate a little
did you
bit
know that you had them in your possession?
Yes,
People are satisfied with the factual basis. Your Honor.
The court is satisfied with the factual basis. I think he essentially gave that factual basis earlier, that he knew that he had them. He just didn't know that he left them in the vehicle. Not a controlled substance in the vehicle, just possession, so. On your plea to be freely, voluntarily, and intelligently made, I'm going to advise you there's a killer group that's an agreement between you and the prosecutor. I'm not a party to that agreement. So I don't know how I'm going to sentence you yet. At the time of your sentencing, if I decide for some reason that I'm going to deviate from that agreement of no upfront jail and sentence you to upfront jail, I would give you your right to withdraw your plea, okay? The matter will be set for sentencing November 5th at 9 o'clock in the morning. You need to go downstairs to meet with our probation department, okay? Today, so they can get you scheduled for your pre-sentence interview. And then you also will have to complete a substance or undergo a substance abuse assessment prior to your sentencing, okay? Do you have any questions? Any additional matters for the record?
Nothing further from the people. Thank you.
Nothing further from the defense.
You're all set. On the record is the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Curtis Williams, file numbers 14-05470. Council appearance.
Morning, Your Honor. Case Mark Heron, appearing on behalf of the people.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Mr. Williams, Your Honor.
Mr. Williams, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, today was the date set for final pretrial on this matter for an assault and battery in 2014. If we have witnesses here.
No, Your Honor, we did not. I did attempt to contact a couple different times. This is a 2014 case. It's my understanding Mr. Williams is incarcerated in Ohio. So for those reasons, people would move to dismiss in the interest of justice.
Okay. Assuming there's no objection.
Correct.
Motion to dismiss without prejudice is granted. You're all set, Mr. Williams. Your matter is dismissed.
Thank you, ma'am.
Your interpreter was here on which matter?
She's here on bill trade to speak with the victim. The victim at one point it suggested she wanted to lift the no contact order, and I knew that if a plea was entered, Your Honor would want to hear from her. So
Oh, okay, so is she free to go?
she is, yeah.
Okay.
Just waiting for Mr. Martinez.
Oh,
We're just waiting for the defendant to leave to Your Honor.
and is Jamal Turner present? Oh. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Jamal Turner, 24-02074, counsel appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Case number Karen appearing on behalf of the people.
Counsel.
It is not, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Turner, today was the date set for a final pretrial, and this is for an assault and battery. We have witnesses here.
We don't, Your Honor. I have attempted to contact the necessary witness on this one. Contact has been iffy at best. I've only been able to talk to him once for a couple minutes. Every other time the number's been out of service. So I know Mr. Turner is representing himself. I would move for the dismissal. I just ask if done without prejudice in case we hear that.
A motion to dismiss without prejudice is granted. We'll get you a copy of the dismissal. They do have the right to reissue this charge against you. You understand that?
Yes, do I have any more court dates?
Not on this file. This is going to be dismissed today.
Oh,
Okay, you can have a seat. We'll get you a dismissal.
Okay.
On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Kanger Brooks, file number 24-02531. Counsel appearance.
Morning, Your Honor. Case mark Karen appearing on behalf of the people.
Riley on behalf of Ms. Brooks, Your Honor.
Ms. Brooks is present via Zoom. Today was the date set for a pretrial. This is for a domestic violence charge. Was there an offer on this at all?
Yes, Your Honor. The offer was to plead guilty to an added count 2 of disorderly jostling, and we dismissed the domestic violence.
So how did your client want to proceed?
I believe our request would be to set this for final.
October 1st.
Trial. Final pretrial is going to be October 1st, 8 o'clock in the morning. You must appear in person at the court. And jury trial is scheduled for November 19th, 8 a.m., also in person at the court. Do you have any questions today, Ms. Brooks?
No, I don't.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
Nothing further from the people.
Nothing further defense, Your Honor.
We're all set, ma'am.
Okay.
On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Rayan Brown, file number 23-02851. I don't know that I see Rayan or Mr. Yang.
I don't think we will be expecting Mr. Brown, Your Honor. It's my understanding he failed to appear yesterday, and Judge Flores, this courtroom isn't bench warrant status, all right.
I'll issue a bench warrant. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan, first, Elias Griffin, file number 23-02809. Council appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Case Markarian appearing on behalf of the people.
Jacob Rowley on behalf of Mr. Griffin.
Mr. Griffin present.
Take a hold on. He's not present, no.
I'm trying to understand how I issued a bench warrant for him to be remanded and he was given a PR bond. On the record in the matters of the people of the state of Michigan versus Michael Sheriff, file number 24-02239 and 2240. Council appearances.
Good morning, Your Honor. Case Markarian appearing on behalf of the people.
Jacob Rowley on behalf of Mr. Sheriff.
Mr. Shearer is present via Zoom. Today was the date that was set for two files. One is for a dog license vaccination. The other is for a dog at large. Has there been a resolution on this?
Well, this time we're going to be requesting another pretrial conference, hopefully a few weeks out, so that we can reach a state of compliance and demonstrate that to the prosecution.
September 24th at 10 a.m. Do you have any questions today, Mr. Sheriff?
No, I do not.
We'll see you September 24th. Any additional matters for the record?
Nothing further from the people.
Nothing from the defense. Thank you.
Thank you. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Brandon Baumeister, file number 24-00210. Appearance for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. Case Markarian appearing on behalf of the people.
Jacob Rowley on behalf of Mr. Baumeister.
Okay, and Mr. Baumeister is present via Zoom. How are you, Mr. Baumeister?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Okay, today was the date that was scheduled for a forensic review. The court has a report here from August 29th from the Department of Health and Human Services Center for Forensic Psychiatry. Counsel, did you get a copy?
I can confirm that the defense did receive a copy, Your Honor.
Okay. The body and conclusion of the report is that it was the opinion of the examiner that Mr. Baumeister does have the capacity to understand the nature and object of the proceedings, and he is now competent to stand trial. Do you have any objections to the body or the conclusion of the report?
No objection on behalf of the defense, Your Honor.
From the people.
Court will adopt the report and incorporate it into the court record. An order of competency will be entered, and we will set this matter for a next action date. This is an assault and battery. Did you just want a final pre-trial on this?
The request on behalf of the defense, Your Honor.
Final pre-trial October 1st at 8 a.m.
Final pre-trial will be October 1st, 8 o'clock in the morning, in person at the court. Jury trial is going to be scheduled for December 3rd at 8 a.m. also in person at the court. Do you have any questions today for the court, Mr. Baumeister?
No, ma'am.
Also, any additional matters for the record today?
Nothing further from the people.
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
We will see you in person October 1st, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, you're all set.
Yep, thank you.
On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Jacob Mann, and that's file number 22-00198. Council Terence.
Good morning, Your Honor. Case number carrying on behalf of the people.
Is Mr. Riley supposed to be the public defender today? Because I don't know why he keeps leaving.
Yes, Your Honor. Then unfortunately, two attorneys are down. I was asked to cover the jury trial. That's why I'm here. I wasn't asked to cover anything else.
I understand that, but if I'm on the record and on the bench, you shouldn't keep leaving.
Yeah. Go on with me.
I call the case.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Mr. Mann, Your Honor.
Mr. Mayor, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, today's the date that's scheduled for a sentencing. I do have a pre-sentence report that was prepared back on the 15th of August. Council, did you get a copy of the report?
I believe we have, Your Honor. If you'll allow me a second just to pull it up.
Let's see, any reasons to make updates, corrections, or deletions?
No, Your Honor, I believe the body of the report is correct. No updates or deletions or corrections.
We don't have a victim on this today, do we?
No,
Okay, you can make allocution.
Your Honor, I do think the recommendations of the report are probably correct. Continues to deal with economic hardship, which is making the housing situation difficult. I know he has been in custody for a long period of time. I believe he has a significant amount of jail time in this case. So as far as sentencing, my request would be for time served.
How long has it been in custody?
I believe he has 90 days jail credit as of today, which would be approximately the maximum sentence.
Lincoln County Jail credit time served is a $75 crime victim rights fee plus a $50 state minimum cost. A total of $125 that will be assessed. You would be able to make payment on that, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Question was, when will you be able to make payment on that?
Could you give me 30 days or 20 days at most, or at least?
Okay, I'll note here that you'll make payment within 30 days. Can you confirm your address for me?
Currently, right now, ma'am, I am homeless, but I have acquired housing resources since I've been in here. So I will be most likely going into a shelter once I'm released.
That in the file. Good luck to you, sir. You're all set. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Anthony Thorp, file number 19-00866 and 24-02096. Council appearance, please.
morning, Your Honor. Case Mark Herring appearing on behalf of the people.
Is he downstairs?
He might have been brought over. He is in custody, sir.
Oh, okay, because he's not on. He's not on here. He was supposed to be on public. Oh, okay, well, maybe they'll put him on now that Mr. Mann is not there. Is that-
Mr. Griffin's here.
On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Elias Griffin, file number 23-020-02809. Council appearance.
Morning, Your Honor. Case Mark Herring appearing on behalf of the people.
Jacob Riley on behalf of Mr. Griffin.
Mr. Griffin, today was the date set for a pre-trial. You're an offer on this?
Yes, Your Honor, there was. One moment. The offer was to plead guilty to an added count 2 of disorderly jostling, and we would dismiss the domestic violence charge.
Your Honor, Honor, we're not accepting that plea. We'll have to dismiss the separate final pretrial and trial dates.
No problem. Mr. Griffin, the matter would have been dismissed by now if you had showed up to court, the last court date.
I know, I missed it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you missed a few court dates.
I did.
But on the 20th, you failed to appear, but the witness failed to appear, and that was set for a final pretrial. Had you been here, your attorney could have moved to have this matter dismissed. This could have potentially been behind you. So it's important for you to come to court, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And on time,
I'm sorry.
okay?
Yes.
We're gonna get you a final pretrial date.
Okay.
October 15th.
October 15th, 8 AM. In person at the court. I don't know if you have a phone or how you keep up with your court dates, but you gotta make sure you remember that, okay? You have any questions?
No.
We'll get you a notice to appear. Any additional matters for the record?
That's from the defense, Your Honor.
You're all set.
Jury trial date on that, Your Honor.
I didn't set a jury trial date because the witness didn't come to the last final.
Yes. We haven't had it.
Okay, and they've not put Thorp one. I see. What's the wall?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning. Are you here for a court date?
Yes.
What's your case number, sir?
Give me a second, please. My case number is 2404795. Lewis Thomas.
Okay, you have your notice to appear before you, sir?
Via Zoom.
What date does it say?
Wednesday, September 11 at 9:15.
Today's Tuesday. So you're one day too early, sir.
That's a good thing. Thank you, Your Honor.
It's a great thing because you're doing a nice little check on the Zoom. You know how to work it. So we'll see you tomorrow, okay?
Thank you. Have a blessed one.
Same to you.
Bye.
Let's see. People love to make Tuesday, Wednesdays for some reason. Let's see here. March. Ma'am, what's your name?
Jennifer Kaysen.
Supposed to be here yesterday?
They want to make it believable.
Yes, she was. Unfortunately, you're one day late. You were supposed to be here yesterday, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I mixed up the dates and I wasn't sure what to do.
Okay, let's see, hang tight. Let me see if we can find an assistant city attorney, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Can someone see if someone can log in? Is she represented by your office? Jennifer Kaysen, she was supposed to be here yesterday. So I don't know if there was an offer or something. Someone can log in and meet with her. Because it may just be that she needs to be working on her license, but I'm not sure. It was a driving license and an expired plate.
Yeah, they're basically license still not valid, wanted to adjourn to get taken care of, and vehicle registered.
Since the last time you all spoke to her, or?
Yeah, because that was back in Sutter's note from July.
So we don't know
And
if she
they,
has.
she called, tried to get a hold of her before she failed to appear.
You pulled that case and file for me, please. We don't need a city attorney unless she's got her license now. I don't know if she does.
In the meantime, you want to put me in a breakout room with her and I'll talk to her and see what's up.
Yes, please. And I think that's all I have until the trial. Is that it? Or Didn't get put on yet. We don't know what's going on with Thorp. Maybe they'll log him in. Carter's downstairs.
Should be.
Or are they logging him in? Oh, that's not until 10. And then, okay, sounds good. Ms. Casey, I'm gonna put you in the meeting room with the public defender.
Okay.
There seems to be an issue that I want clarification on from them. And she should have registration shortly, so I would only adjourn it shortly.
There should be two files. Is that correct? Yolanda,
Yes, ma'am.
there should have been a civil file, default file too.
For,
She had two cases. September 16th. Ms. Casey, we'll set your matter for September 16th at 10, okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you're all set. She has something tomorrow? Can't teach. Okay, teach you. You're all set, Ms. Kaysen.
Okay, thank you.
Letitia? Can you unmute, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. I believe you're supposed to be here tomorrow, ma'am.
It said today's not the 11th. Oh, nope, you're right. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Have a good day.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's see. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Marcel Carter, file number 24-02285, council appearance.
Morning, Your Honor. Case Mark Arian appearing on behalf of the people.
Jacob Raleigh on behalf of Mr. Carter.
Okay, Mr. Carter is present from Ingham County Jail, and this is for a pretrial for one domestic violence. How are we proceeding on this?
At this time, our request would be that this be set for final pretrial and jury trial dates.
Is there an offer?
Yes, Your Honor, there was. It was to plead guilty as charged to avoid this being reissued with child abuse charges. I will talk to APA Angela Del Vero about that process and reissuing the child abuse charges now.
Okay, thank you. Final pretrial. October 15th at 8 a.m. Final pretrial is going to be in person at the court October 15th, 8 o'clock in the morning. Jury trial November 19th, 8 a.m. in person at the court. Do you have any questions today, Mr. Carter?
No, ma'am.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
Nothing further from the people.
Nothing further from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay, you're all set, Mr. Carter. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Anthony Thorp. I have two files, and this is file number 19-00866. And then I have file number 24-02096. Council appearance, please.
Morning, Your Honor. Case Mark Arian appearing on behalf of the people.
Assistant Public Defender Sarah Donnelly on behalf of the defendant on the file ending in 1900866 FY.
Thank you, Your Honor. Robert Palmer at the Public Defender's Office, appearing on behalf of Mr. Thorp in 24-02096.
Okay, Mr. Thorpe is present from the Ingham County Jail. I do have two reports, one in each file, one in file number 19-0866. Actually, both being prepared on September 5th, 2024. Councils, did you get a copy of those reports?
Yes, we did, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Do I need to make any corrections, updates, or deletions on either of these?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. We've met with Mr. Thorpe, and I don't believe that there are any changes to the factual basis.
Okay, make allocution.
Thank you, Your Honor. I recognize this is a difficult situation because I recognize, at least in the 19 file, that Mr. Thorpe entered a plea and then absconded for a significant period of time, and the probation agent seems to recommend a straight jail sentence as a result of that, which is certainly understandable. I think the idea is, or the concern is that Mr. Thorpe will not take this a term of probation seriously, that he's likely to abscond again, and that we would be right back here. There also seems to be some concern about Mr. Thorp downplaying or being dishonest with the probation officer. I do think that there was a little bit of a confusion about that. Mr. Thorp, the downplaying seems to be related to a statement that Mr. Thorp made that he was not under the, or that he was under the influence at the time. And I think what happened is that they thought that Mr. Thorp was referencing the 24 file when in fact he was referencing the 19 file, because as I understand it, it was one meeting for both PSIs, of course. Nonetheless, Your Honor, I think that the report is accurate in that I think Mr. Thorp has some significant mental health issues. I think he also has a serious substance abuse issue. And I would point out that these are misdemeanors, and so the court certainly can sentence Mr. Thorp up to a year. But if he does a straight jail sentence, then what we're left with is a gentleman who sits in the jail for a year and then comes back out with basically exactly the same problems. I think the court has an opportunity in this particular case to give Mr. Thorp a chance at probation and structure some. It provides some structure for Mr. Thorp. My suggestion would be that the court consider placing him on a term of probation, and as a term of that probation, giving him something like intensive outpatient treatment, substance abuse treatment, and/or mental health counseling, engaging with CMH services, those kinds of things. I will say that I spoke to Mr. Thorp's mother, Tammy Thorp, yesterday. I had expected her to be here. She's not here today, but she did confirm that Mr. Thorp has a stable address that he can reside at, and that's their house if he's to be released. And I can provide that address if the court would like it. I would also point out that Mr. Thorp, while not currently employed, he does have some work experience, and I think Mr. Thorp has finally turned the corner in his life. He's been running for a long time, to be perfectly honest with you, but I think he's ready to take some responsibility for himself. He's advised me that he previously worked in a number of restaurant kitchens and those kinds of things, and he would like to engage employment again and try to get back into it. I don't think that that's where he ultimately wants to be, but I think Mr. Thorpe recognizes the situation and thinks that that's a good place for him to start. So with all that said, Your Honor, I understand the recommendations. I understand why they were made, but I would ask the court to give Mr. Thorpe a chance and let him show the court that he can comply with probation. And of course, if he doesn't, that's on Mr. Thorpe 100%. The court can levy, I guess, up to a year at that point.
So I was done.
What do you say?
I've been reviewing this file. Obviously, this is a 2019 case. The case originally was handled by Judge Clark. I'm looking at the amount of times that Mr. Thorpe has had to be remanded on this file. He was first remanded by Judge Clark in 2019. May 12th, failed to appear. He failed to appear May 9th, so he was remanded. Then he failed to appear for sentencing May 28th. Then he failed to appear once the file was transferred to me back in November 2022. I have a failure to appear February 6, 2023, and had to have him remanded to get him here today. In both of the reports, I recognize that they were both, the PSI's interview were both on the same date, but he's not a viable candidate. He doesn't follow court order. He's demonstrated that throughout the pendency of these files. And probation has already gotten the impression from meeting with him and doing an investigation that he, at least for one of these, is not ready and willing to even take responsibility for the actions that he's now been convicted of. I'm not going to put that burden on having to track him down and deal with his antics on probation. That's not fair to probation. No one, it's not fair to the court for us to have to keep going round and around and around to try and contact Mr. Thorp. Will Mr. Thorp, or would he have benefited from some treatment? I'm sure he would have, but he's not willing to do what it takes to be compliant with court orders. He's not gonna start now, 5 years later. So he's gonna do straight jail time. You've gotten multiple chances to show that you have turned a corner. And we're not gonna wait until you've been remanded, and so now you've been sitting down and now you don't have a choice but to be compliant to decide that you've turned the corner. You were supposed to take some initiative on your own to show us that you wanted to be responsible for these files and for these actions and to handle your court cases. You've not done that. So as to a file number 19-00866, looks like on both files, actually as of today, at least as the 5th, he had 55 days credit.
I think he has, probation gave him 71 on the 19 file, because he had a couple of other.
On what file?
The 2019 file, the 19-00866, probation hasn't.
They put 55 as of the 5th on his file. On that file.
Yeah, I think judges, I look at the first page, it says he was in custody 3/9/19 one day, then November 23rd, 2022 through December 8th, 2022, 16 days, and then the period of 55 days.
Okay.
So I think he has 71 on the 19 file, and I think he has 55 on the 20.
Oh, it's a little bit more. Well, what is today's date? Let's see. The 10th.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it's 5 more days.
Yes, would be what, 76 and 60, I think.
Around 77. Order on file 19-00. Mr. Thorp, you need to stand up and move so that the light comes back on because it's motion censored. Order to spend 180 days Ingham County Jail, credit for 77. While in custody, he can be screened for treatment. And if inpatient treatment is an option, he can be released directly into inpatient treatment. If he is not successful with completing his inpatient treatment, he will be remanded back to the custody of the jail to serve the remaining balance. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
On the other file, I'm credit and time served. Any additional matters for today's record?
I have nothing further, thank you.
Nothing from you either, Ms. Donovan?
No, you're right.
Thank you. You're all set, Mr. Thorpe. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Okay, and I'm ready to start the next trial. Somebody else here, Mr. Holland. Who's representing Mr. Holly? Is that Mr. Raleigh?
Yes, Your Honor, it should be I filled out a sheet, gave it to Mr. Raleigh.
Jacob Rowling on behalf of Mr. Holly, Your Honor. Oh, sorry.
No problem. On the record of the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Terence Holly, 24-02395. Council appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor, case Mark Heron appearing on behalf of the people.
Jacob Rowling on behalf of Mr. Holly.
Okay, Mr. Holly, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Mr. Holly? Oh, he's muted. You're muted for some reason. Let's see. I don't know why. Okay, today was the date that was scheduled for a pretrial. And this is for retail fraud. How are we gonna proceed on this?
Reach the plea agreement. We're prepared to enter that plea today.
We are gonna need him to be unmuted. Let's see. Mr. Holly, do you, oh, there it goes. Can you hear us now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the offer is for you to plead guilty to admitted charge of retail fraud, 3rd degree, misdemeanor, maximum penalty 93 days and or $500 in fines. You want to accept that offer, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Okay, and so Mr. Holly, you have certain rights that you would need to give up in order to accept this plea offer. So that would be your right to the presumption of innocence. You're innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to require the prosecution prove your guilt at trial by proving each element of the charges being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to see, hear, or question any of the witnesses that the prosecution intends to call to testify against you at your trial. You have the right to call witnesses or present evidence at trial that you believe show a defense to the charge being brought against you. You have the right to remain silent at your trial and not have that silence be used against you, or you can waive your silence and testify on your own behalf if you'd like. Are you willing to give up each of those rights? I couldn't hear a response, sir. Can you stand up because it's not picking up your voice?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anybody threatening you to get you to give those rights up?
No, ma'am.
Has there been any promises made to you if you enter a guilty plea to the retail fraud 3rd?
No.
And are you pleading guilty because you believe you're guilty?
Yes.
As to retail fraud 3rd degree, sir, how do you plead?
Yes.
Factual basis.
Mr. Holly, on or about May 16th of 2024, were you present at 6200 South Pennsylvania Avenue, City of Lansing, being a Meyer store?
Yes.
While you were at that store, did you take some items, well, to begin with, some bottles of alcohol that were offered for sale?
Yes.
Did you also take some food items, some cuts of meat that were also offered for sale?
I believe so, yes.
Did you then conceal those items in a bag?
Yes, yes, yes.
And did you leave, or I should say, did you attempt to leave the store without paying for those items?
Yeah.
Is it true that in fact you dropped those items and they were, so you did not get away with the items? You dropped the items, so you didn't actually take them with you. They were taken back to the store. To the best of your knowledge.
Yes.
That's a factual basis.
Counsel.
You push that as a factual basis, Your Honor.
The court is also satisfied with the factual basis. I'll accept your plea and find your plea to be made freely, voluntarily, and intelligently. He's being held on something in addition to this, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. He has a felony case in the circuit court, which is only for the near future, I should say.
Like he's been in custody. Well, he was in custody when he was arraigned on this, I believe, which was on the 29th.
Yes, I believe he has been in custody since June 20th.
I'm crediting him time served. It's all that. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Versus Jamar McReynolds. This is file number 24-00202 FY counsel appearance.
Morning, Your Honor. Markarian appearing on behalf of the people.
And Assistant Public Defender Sarah Donnelly on behalf of the defendant Jamar McReynolds, who is present to my right.
Okay, Ms. McReynolds, thank you for your patience. Today was the date and the time that was scheduled for a non-jury trial. And the defendant has elected to waive his right to a jury trial, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and so I think this is a matter that we just have officer witnesses.
Yes, Your Honor, two.
Okay, any preliminary matters before we take testimony?
No, no.
Your Honor, I did discuss the exhibit. The only exhibit I plan to play is Officer Bakri's body worn camera. I discussed it with Ms. Donnelly. I didn't know if we had a stipulation to it or not, but
Well, you're gonna call Mr. Buckley, right? So I mean, you don't need me to stipulate his body on camera. I was gonna have Sheldon have his body on camera as part of my cross, so we'll just establish that.
we'll do it as it comes. Yep, no preliminary matters, Your Honor. We're ready to go.
Thank you, you can call your witness. You can have a seat, sir.
People call Officer Derek Selden to the stand.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give us the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury.
I do.
Think you can have a seat? Can you state your first and last name and spell both?
First and last, Derek Selden, there's D-E-R-E-K, last S-E-L-D-E-N.
See, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Officer Selden. Thank you for hanging out for a while for us. Are you currently employed?
I am
Where?
with the Lansing Police Department.
How long have you been employed with the Lansing Police Department?
I've been with them on the road patrol since January of this year.
So you said road patrol. Just to be clear, what is your current rank and assignment?
Police Officer 1, assigned to the road patrol, currently on our noon shift.
You generally describe what your typical duties as a road patrol officer include?
Yes, everything from patrolling and going with self-initiated activities such as traffic stops, keeping an eye out for whatever that may be, as well as responding to calls for service, both for emergency and non-emergency situations.
I'm gonna take you to the date of January 26th, 2024 at around 1:34 a.m. Were you on duty in that same rank and assignment at that date and time?
Yes, I was.
At some point, did you respond to the location of 600 North Grand Avenue, Lansing?
Yes, I did.
Was that response around 1:34 a.m.?
It was.
Do you know what's at that location of 600 North Grand Avenue?
That's a parking ramp for LCC.
Now, we've stated that you were on duty at that time. To be clear, what kind of clothing were you wearing?
I was wearing my full patrol uniform with name tag says Lansing Police Department badge.
Is that clearly visible to people around you?
Yes, it is.
What kind of car were you?
I was in my fully marked patrol car.
Did you respond to that location?
I did.
Why?
We were called there to assist LCC Police Department, and an officer there stating that a male was sleeping in their stairwell.
Objection, Your Honor. This is hearsay, so I just want to put on the record.
Do you want to respond to the objection?
Not for the truth of the matter, sir, just for the next steps.
Objections overruled.
Please continue. Why did you respond?
We were called there. LCC PD was there requesting our assistance removing the subject from the stairwell in that room.
Do you have any information? Well, one moment, let me just back up that Lansing Community College parking garage. Is that in Ingham County?
It is.
State of Michigan?
It is.
Do you have any information as to why Lansing Community College Police wanted this individual removed?
At the time, they stated that the subject was sleeping in the stairwell somewhere that not meant for subjects to be sleeping in, and it was after hours.
Let's fast forward a little bit to your arrival on scene. What happened when you arrived on scene?
Made contact with the officer there. I believe his name was Officer Selleck. Stated that the subject was sleeping in the stairwell and that he already had identified him, and they showed a warrant out of Lansing. And then from there, we went to make contact with that subject in the stairwell.
In your training and experience as a police officer, have you had to identify suspects?
I have.
Can you tell us whether or not that Lansing Community College identification that the officer originally provided you was accurate? No?
After the fact or at the time of what we did?
After the fact, did it ultimately end up being the right person, the one the Lansing Community College officer told?
It was not.
Okay. Nonetheless, did you make contact with that subject who was sleeping in the stairwell?
Yes, I did.
Could you describe what that subject looked like?
He was a taller black male, probably about 6'2". At the time, he had, can't remember exactly his hair. I know he had facial hair, and he was laying in the stairwell exactly where I said it would be.
We're looking at January of this year.
Yes.
Can you describe what kind of clothing he was wearing?
I cannot recall this.
Move on. Do you recognize that suspect in the courtroom here today?
I do.
Please identify them by an article of clothing they're wearing and point them out.
They're wearing the American security shirt.
Please let the record reflect, Your Honor, Officer Selden has identified the defendant as the suspect that he interacted with that.
Any objections on identification?
No, Your Honor.
Identification is noted.
Could you describe what happened in the stairwell when you made contact with the subject?
In the stairwell, I had entered, I identified myself as police, stated to the subject that he had been identified by LCC, and they were showing a warrant. He's going to be under arrest for the warrant, and go from there, see if the county that was out of had wanted him. At that time, he became immediately defensive, saying, "No, don't have a warrant, don't touch me." He began to stand up, put his shoes on, started packing up his stuff as if he was going to leave, After I already advised him that he was gonna be under arrest for it.
When you told him that he was going to be under arrest and he needed to leave, what were you attempting to do?
Place him under arrest and then go from there to check if the county that the warrant was out of wanted him to be transported.
What did he do when you told him he was going to be under arrest, when you commanded him?
He first pulled away from me when I was trying to help him stand up to then place him in handcuffs. He said, "Don't touch me." After he stood up, he took a kind of fighting boxing stance and said, "Do not touch me, I will fight you." Balled up his fist and raised them as if he was going to fight us at that time.
What happened next?
After that, I believe he had reached down to pick up a coat that he had laying across the bag. I believe he'd been using it as a pillow. At that time, my partner initiated contact with him, and all officers on scene, including myself, grabbed a hold of him, went up, kind of wrestling him to the ground, taking him to custody on the ground.
Now, aside from taking him into custody and whatever booking procedure you all have, did anything else happen after that point, after you were able to remove him that the court should know about?
After that point, we had searched him, got him into our back seat, and then began confirming the warrant. When we ran the warrant that the LCC officer had advised he had, we recognized that the subject that we had was not the same as in that warrant. And then my partner began finding that deeds again properly.
So your partner did what? Repeat what you said.
To get him properly identified after we realized that the information given us by the LCC officer was incorrect.
Who was your partner?
Officer Backer.
Would Officer Backery be better to ask about the process of identifying the suspect?
Yes.
No further questions for this witness at this time. Thank you, Your Honor.
Trustee.
Morning, Officer Selden.
Good morning.
So, so it's your testimony that you were dispatched that night for an unwanted subject, basically, or what was the original call?
Unwanted subject trespassing to be removed.
And when you were, did you know before arriving the suspect's potential identity?
Yes, or so we had thought. From what the officer advised us.
So on the dispatch, you also got the information pointing to this person with a warrant that ended up not being the defendant.
I believe the information that was provided was that the subject in the stairwell was showing a warrant out of Lansing. However, it was not, the name that the fellow was not put into the call notes for us to check on the way there.
Okay, so when you learned of the alleged name of the defendant when you arrived at the parking garage?
Correct.
Okay, and that's when you met with the Lansing community college officer?
Correct.
So he was the one that directly told you the name?
Yes.
All right, and then you proceeded to go into the stairwell, correct?
Correct.
And did you have to wake up Mr. McReynolds?
I believe so.
All right, so he was completely asleep when you entered the stairwell?
I believe so.
All right, and then there were 3 Lansing police officers in the stairwell at that time with the Lansing community college, the community college officer, right? So 4 officers in the stairwell.
Yes.
And you or any of the officers asked Mr. McReynolds his name?
I did not.
And why was that?
I advised him that the officer told us he has a warrant and that we would take care of anything else. He said I didn't have a warrant. He said, and I said, we can double check on that, everything, but first thing don't comes because we have reason to believe you have a warrant. We'll get it all sorted out after that and take the handcuffs back off if it turns out you don't.
Okay. And you had what information from the Lansing Community College officer lent you to believe that this was who they were saying it was?
Just information. He told me, he said, this is the name, and he's showing a warrant out of Lansing, out of you guys. He said he had identified him by his student ID, and it turned out later that it was from the scan of a student ID letting him into the stairwell.
Okay, and do you know if it, do you typically, have you ever gotten any other calls for students in the stairwells at the Lansing Community College parking lot?
Not there at that time.
All right, and you were wearing your body worn camera that evening, correct, officer?
Correct.
All right, so, Your Honor, I do want to pull up his body worn camera. Do you want to do it on the Zoom?
He's the co-host.
I'm in it.
I made you co-host.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe you should just join.
Yeah, I'll just join. That's fine. I got it queued up, ready to go. Let's join right back in.
Let's see. Left to co-host. Mr. Zaney, your client is out there, I believe.
Yes.
I have not seen an interpreter.
Thank you. Good morning to you.
Good morning. I have her checking to see if it's here. If not, we'll just have to reset it. Off the record on this, let me figure out.
Okay.
Yeah, they were supposed to appear via Zoom, they're not appearing. Maybe she can. No, she can reach out to them, that's on where they are. Yeah. And if they're gonna appear via Zoom today. Okay, back on the record, you can continue.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. All right, Officer Selden, do you recognize your body worn camera?
Yeah.
Okay, does this look accurate and true or fair to your representation of what you witnessed or about to witness?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Your Honor, and I'll start from the beginning and I'll just play. Obviously, there's going to be sound, but we just have to wait.
What's his name?
Ontario, last name Ellis.
Hey man, what's going on? Yeah, you just trying to stay warm?
Yes, trying to stay warm. I try to go to the shelter.
All right.
So I try to go to the shelter, but
Can you pull that blanket off for me real quick? Just toss that off for me. You're good. You're good. So you just trying to go to the shelter, but
I tried to go to the shelter, but so they didn't have no more beds in there.
all right. Well, we got a warrant for you out of Lansing. I'll have to check. I believe it's for MDLP. All right.
There's an alcohol warrant.
All right, we'll double check that. But for right now, stand up for me. Just stand up.
Can you not touch me, please?
If you stand up right now, I won't touch you. Otherwise, I'm about to put my hands out. Just stand up for me.
I'm gonna go. I'll walk away.
Stand up with phone down. You have a warrant. You're gonna go on that right now. You're gonna arrest for that warrant.
I did nothing to nobody.
All right, dude, I'm not arguing.
I'm assimilating, keeping myself warm.
Stand up for me, go ahead and put your hands behind your back for me.
You not touch me. Don't touch me. I ain't did nothing to nobody. I'm gonna fight you. I'll fight you. Don't touch me. I mean it. Don't touch me. I ain't did nothing to nobody. Let me record this.
Bro, put your hands on your back, bro.
I ain't put my hands behind shit. Don't touch me, man. I ain't did shit to nobody.
Put your hands on your back. Saying you have a warrant. If you don't, you come right back out of handcuffs.
It's that easy. Come off just as fast, man.
I got 4 people, four cops harassing me. I ain't did shit to nobody.
Under arrest.
I'm not under arrest for nobody. Just leave me alone. Hey man,
Go back. You're gonna get everything.
I ain't did shit to nobody, man. I'm running my own business. Stay away from me. Don't be hitting me. I'm gonna let my lawyer Steve Howard know that y'all was hitting me. That's no harass me, nigga. Ain't get shit to none of y'all.
You listen, you don't have to worry about that.
Y'all being nice, man. Just tell me what's going on. You hit me one more time. Try it again. Hit me one more time.
With your shirt?
Yeah, I'm not George Floyd. I'm sure all y'all.
You're good with your shirt?
Yes.
Yes. So what's gonna happen? I need you to roll over to your button and stand up. Thank you. Yeah. What all do you need?
I need to make a phone call to my lawyer.
That's fine. But what all do you need over here from right now?
All my property.
Okay, we'll grab that.
We'll gather that in a minute.
Come on.
Okay, stuff.
Would you like your seatbelt on? Come in. Would you like your seatbelt? Okay. I'm gonna put your seatbelt on you. I need you to look to your left for me, okay? So I can do that. Just don't want to get split on or dead. That's the only reason I ask. Okay.
Want to give me your name, man? Alright. Alright, that's just your name. That's nothing incriminating. Alright.
You want to know my name? Ask Steve Howard.
Alright, I'll let you know. You are going to have to give us your name at some point, man, alright?
Well, you're going to have to talk to Steve Howard, my attorney, then.
Okay. His wallet or something over there?
Yeah, we're bringing all that stuff. Is there a
Okay.
specific place that it is?
His wallet? No, I don't know, because he does want to talk to us. Give us his name.
Okay, that's fine.
Alright.
Your Honor, I'm gonna stop it there at 8 minutes and 43 seconds into it. So again, that is an accurate representation of what happened that evening, correct?
Correct.
And per your body worn camera, that's you asking finally for his identification after he's put in the backseat.
Yes.
All right. But again, no other officers asked him for his name before that.
Not that I know.
All right. Your Honor, at this time, I would move to, this is going to be a defense exhibit, proposed defense exhibit A.
No objection.
Defense A submitted.
Can I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yeah, they put this together. There's 3 files on there. It's going to be under the file name from the files. Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Yes, Your Honor. Officer Selden, how long have you been an officer now?
That would be 9 months.
How long had you been an officer when this incident happened?
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
In the 9 months that you've been on the job, is it uncommon to identify suspects after they've been detained?
No. It's not uncommon.
Would you say it's common?
Yes.
Is that what happened in this case?
Yes.
We've heard about Quaterio Ellis, at least on the body cams. Do we know who that person is?
That was the name or student on the ID that you used to enter the building.
To be clear, is that the person that was put in your backseat?
It was not.
Is that the person you ultimately arrested?
It's not.
How do you know that?
Because we were able to eventually identify him with the state ID my partner found on his person, and then verified that, and then
we heard something about a wallet in the end of that clip there. Is that how you went about identifying this person in court here today?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
May this witness be excused.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. May it be excused.
People call Officer Bakri, Jamil Bakri.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can have a seat. State your first and your last name and then spell both of them.
Okay. First name is Jamal, Jameil. Last name is Bakri, Bakri.
You see, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Officer Bakri. Thank you for hanging out for us for as long as you have. Are you currently employed?
I am.
How long? Or, excuse me, where are you employed?
With City of Lansing.
How long have you been employed with the City of Lansing?
Just over 5 years.
What is your current rank and assignment?
I am a police officer and I work patrol.
Have you been assigned to patrol duty for the entire 5 years?
Yes.
Could you generally describe what your typical duties as a patrol officer are?
Responding to calls for service that are placed with our department.
When you respond for calls for service, how are you dressed?
A uniform that's much like the one that I have on, and a patrol car that is marked with police badge.
Would it be obvious to those around you that you're a police officer?
Yes.
On January 1st, or excuse me, January 26th of 2024 at around 1:34 a.m. Were you on duty in that same capacity?
I was.
Did you respond to a location at 600 North Grand Avenue?
I did.
Do you know what's at that location?
It's the LCC or Lansing Community College gaming ramp.
And although this might be a little bit repetitive, just to be clear, were you in uniform and in a marked car like you described just a moment ago?
I was.
Why did you respond?
There was a call for service by a Lansing Community College officer stating that a Ontario Ellis was inside of the east stairwell and that the subject had a warrant.
Do you know who Quaterio Ellis is?
Quaterio Ellis was the ID badge that was used to gain access to the premises. And that was pretty much what the call came in.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, a call came in for Quaterio Ellis because someone else used Quaterio Ellis's car.
Correct. And that this person was sleeping in the stairwell on the second floor. So with it being the time that it was, there shouldn't be anybody on the premises. So
what time was it again?
Around 01:34.
What's that in normal time?
So like 1:34 a.m.
What did you eventually make contact with the same suspect that was identified as the one who swiped in?
I did.
What happened when you made contact with that suspect?
So at that time, the subject that the ID card belonged to had a warrant for MDOP out of our department. I spoke with the officer Selleck who works for the Lansing Community College. And he advised me that that was the subject that I was speaking to inside of the vestibular stairway. And at that time, we advised that subject turned out to be Mr. McReynolds that he was under arrest.
Would it be fair to say upon your initial approach, you thought you were dealing with Quaterio Ellis because of information you were providing?
Correct.
And that upon your approach, you thought this suspect had active warrants?
Correct.
Could you describe this suspect, what he was wearing, what he looked like?
Today or that day?
That day.
So he was wearing a dark outfit. He had light boots, but he wasn't wearing the boots at first. He put the boots on afterwards. And he had a dark cover over his legs.
Now, you said something about today or that day. Do you see that same person here in court today?
I do.
Do you recognize, or could you please identify them by an article of clothing they're wearing and point them out?
Yeah, he's sitting off to my left and he's wearing a security shirt.
Please let the record reflect Officer Bakri has identified the defendant.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Identification is noted.
Now, you provided us a name earlier, Mr. McReynolds. Do you recall what that full name is?
Yeah, it's Jamar McReynolds.
How do you know who Jamar McReynolds is?
During the course of that investigation, and a fake ID was located, but behind that fake ID was taken the actual license for that individual, which I was able to verify his identity.
Do you wear body worn cameras when you're on duty?
I do.
Were you wearing your body worn camera that night?
I was.
Was it active?
It was.
Do you know if it cut out at any point?
It did.
Can you explain that?
At the point where we were taking Mr. McReynolds into custody, due to the fact that He had made statements that he was going to fight us. I had to quickly approach him and grab onto him to avoid a fist fight. So upon doing that, kind of pressing my body against him, it appears that my camera turned off during that time. My camera has a big button on the front of it. If you just hold it down for a certain amount of time, it'll shut off. That's how it deactivates.
Do you know how long you have to hold it down for? Is it minutes, seconds?
No, I believe it's 3 seconds.
Have you reviewed your body worn camera before today?
I have.
In fact, did I show you this flash drive that was in this envelope?
You did.
Did you review the footage that was on this?
Yes.
Is the footage that's contained on this flash drive marked as People's Exhibit number 1A and 1B a fair and accurate depiction of your body worn camera?
It is.
And fair and accurate depiction of what you observed and what happened?
Yes.
Or at this time, people have moved to admit exhibits number 1A and 1B.
Any objection?
No, you're in.
Equals 1A and 1B are admitted.
You know if I'm Kovo still, Your Honor?
You should be.
So background, I'm gonna play a portion of your body worn camera here. Ask you a couple questions after it's been shown. I guys share it all again. One of these.
There's like 30 seconds.
For the record, Your Honor, we're starting the body worn camera at January 26, 2024 at 1:44 and 21 seconds.
What's his name?
Terry, last name Ellis.
Hey man, what's going on? Hey, you just trying to stay warm?
Yeah, just trying to stay warm. I try to go to the show.
Alright.
I try to go to the show.
Can you pull that blanket off for me real quick? Just toss it off for me. You good? Good. So you just trying to go to the shelter, but
I tried to go to the shelter, but so they didn't have no more beds in there.
alright. Well, we got a warrant for you on Wednesday.
What more?
I'll have to check with this for MDOP, alright?
I've got no warrant.
Alright, we'll double check that. But right now, stand up for me. Stand up.
Can you not touch me, please?
If you stand up right now, I won't touch you. Otherwise, I'm about to come in.
I'm gonna go. I'll walk away.
Stand up. The phone down. You have a warrant. You gotta go on that right now.
I've got no warrant. I ain't getting nothing to nobody.
Alright, good.
Confirmed it with a picture.
We have him on the door scanner, so we know I'm trying to scan him. We got all his details and I looked him up on the internet. So.
Stopping briefly at the 1:46:44 mark, can you explain what that subject is doing right there in this portion of the video?
So at this portion of the video, he had advised Officer Sullivan that he was just going to leave, and at this point in time, he was putting on his shoes.
Would it be fair to say that him on the ground right now is him taking the time to tie his shoes?
Yes.
Continuing from 146:44.
Stand up, you're going to put your hands behind your back. You not touch me. Don't touch me. I ain't getting nothing to nobody. I'm right there. I warn you, don't touch me. I'm having one minute. Don't touch me. I ain't getting nothing to nobody. Let me record this.
Bro, put your hands on your back, bro.
I ain't going here for my shit. Don't touch me, man. I ain't getting shit to nobody.
Put your hands on your back. I'm saying you have a warrant. If you don't, you'll come right back out of handcuffs.
It's that easy. Come off just as fast, man.
I got these four people, four cops harassing me. I ain't getting shit to nobody.
Under arrest.
I'm not under arrest with nobody. Leave me alone.
Put him down.
For the record, Your Honor, that clip played until the 147:42 mark. So a couple questions for you before we play the next portion. Prior to you, well, let me ask, did you get physical with the suspect? Did you put hands on him?
Yes, I did.
Why'd you do that?
At that time, we believed that he had the warrant that was expressed to us by the caller or the LCC officer. On top of that, he had refused our man's to stand up, so placed his hands on his back. He advised that he was not under arrest. He advised that he was going to fight us and puts his hands up in a fighting position. So at that time, once he turned his attention away from us, in order to take him into custody while avoiding having to go toe for toe and pound for pound as far as the fist fight goes, I used that opportunity while his attention was off of us to quickly grab onto him so that he didn't have the opportunity to swing at us.
What, if anything, did he grab before he turned around?
He grabbed onto the railing that separates the staircase from the pretty much the drop off all the way down to the floor.
What, if anything else, did he have near his possession at that time?
So at that time, he had just picked up a big, bulky black coat. Neither him nor the coat had been searched at this time.
Would it be fair to say that coat was of a concern?
Yes.
On top of his actions?
Yes.
Playing, so that was People's Exhibit number 1A, Your Honor, in its entirety, the first portion from Officer Backery's body worn camera. And now we're playing portions of People's Exhibit number 1B, the second portion of his body worn camera. For the record, Your Honor, this picks back up at the 148:05 mark, same date. Officer Backery, before we play, can you tell us, so the last one cut off at 147:42, this picks up at 148:05. Can you tell us approximately how long your body worn camera was off?
It appears that it was off for approximately a minute.
147:42.
Okay, sorry.
Until 148:05. What's that, Matt?
So about 3 minutes.
So 147. Would it be fair to say that that's a few seconds?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the time?
Stopped at 147:42.
Okay.
Starts again at 148:05.
Yes. Yes.
How many seconds is it?
So 147. So about 30 seconds.
You got any weapons on you, man?
But I want my lawyer.
Okay. We made this much more extra than it had to be, bro.
I want my lawyer. I ain't got nothing to talk to y'all. 50 minutes.
You don't have to talk, just make sure you listen.
Yeah, well, stay away from me. And don't be hitting me.
As long as you listen.
I'm gonna let my lawyer, Steve Howard, know that y'all was hitting me. That's y'all go. Harass me, hit me. I ain't get shit to none of y'all.
As long as you listen, you don't have to worry about that, bro. I promise you that.
Try being nice, man. I'm just telling you what was going
Well,
on.
you hit me one more time. Try it again. Hit me one more time.
You go with your search?
Yeah, I'm not George Floyd. I'm suing all y'all.
You go with your search, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what's gonna happen. I need you to roll over to your butt and then we're gonna stand you up, okay? Thank you. I'm gonna help you up. Thank you. Appreciate you. What all do you need from over here?
I need to make a phone call to my lawyer.
That's fine. But what all do you need over here from right now?
All my property.
Okay, we'll grab that.
We'll gather that in a minute.
Come on.
Stopping at the 1:49:45 mark. So prior to that, we started your camera, your hand was on it, and there wasn't any audio. Can you describe what that was?
So that would be the 30-second delay of that where it records before I activate it. 30-second load up of before I actually activate it, and that doesn't include audio.
We've heard a couple times now something about him, the defendant claiming he was hit. Did you hit the defendant?
I did.
Why?
So upon getting him away from the railing, I made the decision to escort him towards the ground. Upon escorting him towards the ground, and the reason I escorted him towards the ground is it's easier to control the subject when they're moving and trying to move away from us, because the flat surface of the ground gives us leverage to hold them up against it while we try to get an arm behind their back. In this case, when Mr. McReynolds went to the ground, he placed both of his hands under his chest. Subject will typically do this in an effort to stop us from being, or make it harder for us to place their hands behind their back. At this moment in time, once he landed on his chest and his hands under his chest, I had not searched him. I had not searched him. I had not. I had no idea what weapons of any kind were on him. He had also made threats to fight us and his behavior. So I used the strike to his face as a distracting measure in hopes that he would raise his hand up away from his chest so that we could grab onto it. And that's exactly what happened.
Is this something that's consistent with your training and experience?
Correct.
How many times did you hit him?
Once.
Closed fist, open fist?
Close fist.
Where?
On the right side of his face.
So on the right side of what?
On the right side of his face.
What happened after he was hit? Did he comply?
He raised his right hand away to block his face, like wanted him to do. That allowed us to grab onto his right hand, place his right hand behind his back. I then gave him loud verbal commands to continue putting his hands behind his back, and he willingly placed his left hand behind his back.
So aside from handcuffing him and escorting him out, did any other officer get physical with him, as far as you know?
Not at that time.
On the way out, we heard you ask if he needed anything from inside the stairwell. What was his response?
That he wanted his lawyer.
Did he say anything about whether or not that was his property in that stairwell?
Yes. After I said that was fine, I'm asking in regards to the stuff that's out there. He said that he wanted all this stuff.
So let's backtrack a little now to the identification of this suspect. You were given some information by LCC that you already stated ended up being bad information.
Yeah.
How did you confirm that?
So as part of our procedure, once I got Mr. McReynolds to the car, I then went to our lien system to both run the subject, and at that time we send those warrants up to, when we have warrants, we send our warrants up to our third court, our jail. So that's our opportunity to do that. Once I did that, I was able to see the ops photo for the subject that belonged to the name that they gave me, and I recognized that was not the subject that I had in my backseat.
Fair to say Quaterio Ellis was not your subject?
Yes.
What did you do to confirm the identity of the suspect you had in your backseat?
So I walked back into the stairwell where the LCC officer was standing, as well as other officers gathering Mr. McReynolds' property. And I learned that I advised them that that was not the subject, that was not who Terry was. And then I learned that they had located a fake ID in his belongings.
Was it just a fake ID or something more?
So it was, it looked like a Michigan ID, was a fake ID, but it was taped to what appeared to be a real ID at the back of the ID.
Who found out that it was taped to the back of that ID?
I did.
Who was the name on that ID, the real one that was taped to the back?
The real one or the fake?
Both.
Okay, so the fake ID read Jamar Green with a date of birth of 12/15/96. The real ID said Jamar Green McReynolds with a date of birth of 12/15/79.
12/15 what?
79.
Was your body worn camera active when this happened?
Yes.
Starting again from the 1:56:00 mark on People's Exhibit number 1B.
I put that when we do it.
I'm fine. You have an ID? That ain't who he is.
So he's got it looks like a fake ID, but that Jamar Green is on his debit card. I don't know if it's just a fake debit card.
There is a real ID behind this one.
We got a student ID.
That ain't it.
Jamar Green, 12/15/96.
It's probably him. This looks like him, kind of. I'll go look him up. Pretty sure this is his ID right here.
Stopping at the 1:57:24 mark, could you describe what just happened on that?
Yes, so upon being handed the fake ID, I recognized that there was possibly a real ID behind it. So I'm cutting open the plastic tape that was attaching the fake ID to the real ID. As that's happening, Officer Havard picks up the ID, this LCC student ID card for Quintero Ellis that was in Mr. McReynolds' possessions in there. And we agree that that's not him. And I pretty much just opened the license, and at this time I have to clean it off, some sticker residue from I can't necessarily see it, so I'm taking that time to try to get to the actual information on it.
Now, I stopped at the 1:57:24 mark because we can see a photograph on that ID you were looking at. Who's in that photo?
That is the fake side, but that is Mr. McReynolds.
So that's the side that just says Jamar Green.
Yes.
And the other side says Jamar Green McReynolds.
Yes, with a different date of birth.
Date of birth just 1 year apart.
So the date of birth on the fake ID is 12/15/96. The date of birth on the real ID is 12/15/79.
Did you then conduct a check and lien for this Jamar Green or Jamar Green McReynolds person with those dates of birth?
Yes.
Was your body worn camera active when that happened?
Yes.
Skipping to the 2:02:50 mark on People's Exhibit number 1B.
Tag it in upstairs.
Okay.
Just so all you gotta worry about is him. Is there anything else y'all need?
Nope.
See you copying and pasting something on your computer there. What are you doing?
I am putting this in individuals or Mr. McReynolds' information in the actual dispatch call.
How similar, if at all, is that photograph we see on the screen on your computer to the one that was on that fake ID?
It was the same.
What did you do with this information after you copy and pasted it?
That's just placed in the call. I didn't check for warrant.
Did this suspect, Jamar McReynolds, have any warrants?
Yes, he did.
Where?
He had one warrant out of Mason, Michigan, and another warrant out of Grand Rapids.
He ultimately arrested subject to those warrants.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you think I've missed that the court should know about?
Just that with him being on the property, we would have, it's part of our normal procedure when there's someone who's trespassing on property to identify them and place that information in the call because that is our opportunity to say that this person has been trespassed on this date and time in case other officers respond out there and deal with the same subject.
In your training and experience, when you ask this subject to exit, was that a lawful command?
To exit the
stairwell.
Yes.
Did he resist or oppose your lawful command?
In the
stairwell.
In the stairwell. After everything, no, he walked out on his own. However, before that, when advising that he was being taken into custody, he did resist that.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I have no further questions.
Processing.
Morning. You said that you've been with Lansing Police Department for 5 years, correct?
Yes.
And so you get a lot of calls for people being where they're not supposed to be, correct? Have you had any contact with Mr. McReynolds prior to this?
I had not.
Have you been called out to Lansing Community College prior to that for any trespassing?
I had not.
All right, and so the Lansing Community College officer, had you had any previous experience with him?
I had not.
All right, so how did you rely on or why did you rely on the information he was providing you?
The reason why I relied on the information that he was providing me was because he was another officer of the law. I can only go off of my own expectations of how I would handle the situation, and I know that I would run a subject and I would make sure that that is a subject that I was potentially after, or I would confirm that that was a subject that I was looking for, and I acted on good faith that he would do the same thing as another trained officer.
All right, so you know that as a Lansing Community College officer that he has similar training and experience as you?
I know that to become an officer, we all have to go through the academy. We all have to go through certain trainings. So because of that, I as I said, acted in good faith that he confirmed the information that he would do.
All right. Your Honor, no further questions.
Redirect.
Yes, Your Honor. Officer Bakri, although you acted in good faith based on what another officer had told you, did you still try to confirm to make sure you got it right?
I did.
What happened?
On two separate occasions, I tried to confirm with that officer that he did in fact, when we were in the stairwell, as Mr. McReynolds was putting on the shoes, I tried to confirm with that officer that he did in fact verify via a picture that this was the subject, as could be heard in my body camera. And also before we left the scene and went downtown, I also checked and leaned to confirm those warrants as part of the process of sending those warrants up to our third floor.
That suspect that's now been name identified as Jamar McReynolds, is it the same person you identified in court earlier?
Yeah.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Approach with People's Exhibits number 1A and B.
Yes, and you may be excused, Officer Beckley. Actually, but before I'm not talking to you. You're free to go. Actually, if you can play your
yes, ma'am.
People's 1A again.
Your Honor, the first clip.
Yes, please.
What's his name? Ontario, last name Ellis.
Hey man, what's going on? Hey, you just trying to stay warm?
Yeah, just trying to stay warm. I try to go to the shelter. Alright, I try to go to the shelter, but
Can you pull that blanket off for me real quick? Just toss it off for me. You good? Good. So you just trying to go to the shelter, but
I tried to go to the shelter, but told they didn't have no more beds in there.
alright. Well, we got a warrant for you on Wednesday.
What more?
I'll have to check witness for MDOP, alright?
There is no, I've got no warrant.
Alright, we'll go check that. Right now, stand up for me. Stand up.
Can you not touch me, please?
If you stand up right now, I won't touch you, otherwise I'm about to put my hand.
I'm gonna go. I'll walk away.
Stand up, put the phone down. You have a warrant, you gotta go on that right now.
I've got no warrant. I ain't getting nothing to nobody.
Alright, good, I'm
Confirmed it with a picture.
We have him on the door scanner, so we know it's him trying to scan in. We got all his details and I looked him up in the unit. So.
You not touch me. Don't touch me. I ain't getting nothing to nobody. I'm right here. I'll fight you. Don't touch me. I mean it. Don't touch me. I ain't getting nothing to nobody. Let me record this.
Bro, put your hands on your back, bro.
I ain't going here for my shit. Don't touch me, man. I ain't getting shit to nobody.
Put your hands on your back. I'm saying you have a warrant. If you don't, you'll come right back out of handcuffs.
It's that easy. Come off just as fast, man.
I got these 4 people, four cops harassing me. I ain't getting shit to nobody.
Under arrest.
I'm not under arrest with nobody. Speak me along.
Okay, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, at this time, people rest.
Is the defense calling witnesses today?
No, Your Honor.
Permission to approach the exhibit, Your Honor?
Yeah, I don't know that I need it. I don't need to reply them anymore, but you
I'll
can
keep it
proceed.
right here then.
You can proceed to your closing argument.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. As Your Honor is well aware, we are here for a bench trial on one count of attempting, resisting, and obstructing or assault, resisting, or obstructing a police officer. Your Honor, the criminal jury instruction for resisting obstructing is 13.1. To prove this, I have to meet 3 elements. First, that the defendant either assaulted, battered, wounded, resisted, obstructed, opposed, or endangered an officer with the way it's charged. It doesn't even specifically name which officer, Your Honor, because there were multiple there. In terms of that testimony, we have the videos, we have the testimony itself. Squaring up with an officer, putting your fists in a fighting stance after already disobeying several commands to stand up and leave the premises certainly meets element number 1. And then he continued to resist and fight, as Officer Backery described, on the ground by putting his hands underneath his chest, requiring force to be used so that they could free a hand and handcuff him, and this all to go. As I think Your Honor saw in the body cams show very clearly, as soon as he was handcuffed, this was all over. Prior to being handcuffed, all they asked was for him to leave, to be escorted out, and to cooperate. Several times in the body camera footage, he was told, the handcuffs come off as easily as they come on. We are going to check to see if you actually have a warrant, and if not, we can release. Second element is that the defendant knew or had reason to know that the officers were performing lawful duties. They were all fully marked in full uniform, as we see on the camera. No one would have any reason to think that these were anything other than officers performing lawful duties who had been called after the defendant had already interacted with the Lansing community officer. The officers then gave a lawful command several times, let him tie his shoes, let him stand up, didn't even approach him or get physical with him after he raised his fist up and clenched them, Your Honor. There's several times that they could have detained him physically, and they gave him several chances and opportunities to avoid that. Regarding attempt, Your Honor, that's criminal jury instruction 9.1. All I have to prove is that the defendant intended to commit R&O and that he took some act towards committing, resisting, and obstructing. Your Honor, I don't even have to prove with the way it's charged that he actually did it, although I think the body camera footage shows both that he attempted to and did complete resisting and obstructing. Where this case really comes down to, and the argument that I anticipate to be made, is identification and whether or not there was a lawful command given based on the information that they were provided. Your Honor, the Officer Backery specifically made very clear that he was acting in good faith on the information provided from another community officer, the Lansing Community College police officer, Officer Selk. Not only that, Your Honor, Officer Backery made clear that at 1:30 a.m. this was a time that students would not be on campus and no one would be permitted to be just sleeping in the stairwell, even if they didn't have the tip itself, even if that tip wasn't reliable, that they did act in good faith upon. Upon arrival at a closed community college at 1:30 a.m. with an unknown suspect sleeping in the stairwell, sprawled out with sleeping bags, pillows, coats, everything like that. While I can empathize that the shelter was closed, it appears to me, Your Honor, and I think the body cam fleshed out, all officers were trying to do was to get him to move. They weren't trying to ring him up. They weren't trying to, at least I think the body cam shows, they made clear they just wanted him to move on. This whole situation could have been avoided, and the reason that it wasn't is because of the defendant's actions and his resisting and obstructing. They thought they were acting on a good faith basis on a valid active warrant for a quaterio illicit. They quickly confirmed that that was not the case, removed a ID that had two IDs in it taped together from the wallet that the defendant on camera said were his possessions. On the front side was a fake ID for Jamar Green with a different date of birth. On the backside, Jamar McReynolds. Your Honor, both officers have identified this subject in court. We've proven the date of January 26, 2024. We've proven the location and venue of 600 North Grand River Avenue, Ingham County, Michigan. Identity was clearly confirmed immediately after this, and then the defendant was arrested based on those valid facts.
Thank you, Your Honor. As the prosecutor has stated, the elements of the offense mean that he has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that those officers were acting in unlawful duties, giving a lawful order, and that Mr. McReynolds either he attempted to resist that that order. Yes, it is accurate that our defense's argument is that it has to be lawful at the time of the arrest. Officers in this case believe that they were acting under information that proved to be false. Now, prosecution argues that there is a good faith exception to this. Defense would argue that the good faith exception does not apply should not apply in these circumstances. The facts of being that officers were called in because they believed that there was a person with a warrant. They didn't make any efforts to confirm this themselves. They relied on the officers' information that a student would be using their ID to sleep in the stairwell in the middle of the night. I don't believe that would be what a reasonable officer would assume, that there was, based on the information they received, that some student would be using their ID to sleep in the stairwell at 144, should have raised alarm bells that maybe someone that it wasn't the student that they were dealing with. But at the same time, I think the law is clear that it has to be lawful at the time of the arrest. You can't make up a reason after the fact to make it lawful. And they did not have what they needed at the time they arrested him. They were arresting him based on someone else's warrant and it wasn't his, and that makes it unlawful. And therefore, because it was an unlawful arrest, he can resist that or attempt to resist that, Your Honor. So
Yeah, I just have a question.
Go ahead, Your Honor.
The jury instruction 13.1 is not specific to just resisting an arrest, but resisting the officer in their lawful duties. And so if we have an officer, fully marked uniform, or officers in fully marked uniforms who appear to the scene and they give an order, why would that not be in good faith? I understand your argument about the actual reason why they thought they were arresting, but when the video was replayed, I replayed that just to make sure I caught the time frames accurately. And I think the first order would have been stand up. Why would that not have been a lawful order for the officer?
Because at the time that they were ordering him, they were under the impression that he had a warrant, and that was they believed they had a person who had a warrant, but they didn't have that. They were arresting someone based on false information, and there is the good faith exception. If they reasonably relied on that, our argument today is that they unreasonably relied on that. And with that, Your Honor, we have no further argument.
Yes, sir. I'll just reiterate, Your Honor, I think you can take the entire tip from the LCC officer out of this and they still have reasonable suspicion and probable cause. They have an unknown subject who used someone else's ID to swipe in at a time that he wasn't supposed to be sleeping in the stairwell. I'm not sure if anyone is ever supposed to be sleeping in the stairwell at the LCC garage. So simply telling him to stand up and move on was a lawful command at the time they gave.
Okay, so today was the date that was scheduled for a bench trial. We have one count of attempted resisting obstructing officer, and as indicated by the prosecution, the jury instruction that prevails on this matter would be 13.1, assault, resist, obstructing a police officer or a person performing their duties. And then also attempt, which is under jury instruction 9.1. We had testimony today from Officer Derek Selden, relatively new officer, testifying at the time of January 26, 2024. He had only been a sworn officer for about 2 weeks, that he reported to the scene located at 600 North Grand Avenue, which is the Lansing Community College parking lot ramp, in response to a dispatch for an unwanted subject. Venue in this court will be appropriate based on that location. We also had testimony from Officer Jamal who also testified that he reported to the same address at the date and time of January 26, 2024 at 1:34 a.m. Again, 600 North Grand Avenue, City of Lansing, Ingham County, again to assist in response to the dispatch for unwanted subject. I'm not going to rehash the testimony because we've had that already, both by you, Mr. Marcarian, as well as you, Mrs. Donnelly. But we'll talk about the jury instructions for the purposes of the defendant understanding what elements the people would have needed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. In order to prove assault, resisting, obstructing a police officer performing their duties, they would first need to prove that you, Mr. McReynolds, either assaulted, in this case, attempted to assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger. In this particular case, we could say either Officer Selden or Officer Backery, because they were the ones that provided testimony evidence, who were officers and from the Lansing Police Department. The jury instruction defines obstruct to include the use or threatened use of physical interference or force, or a knowing failure to comply with a lawful command. The defendant must have actually resisted by what he said or did, but physical violence is not necessary. Again, this is being charged as an attempt. And so we would only need to have beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant intended to commit the act of a resisted, obstruct, or oppose an officer, and that he took some actions toward committing that alleged crime. The testimony that we have, as well as the video evidence that was demonstrated as it relates to the first element, there were officers that responded to this scene, again, for unwanted subject. Trespassing is the concern. The defense's argument is that it would be unreasonable for the Lansing police officers to operate in good faith under the information provided from the Lansing Police Department that there was a student sleeping in the hallway. I don't know if I agree with that. People could be, I think the term that people are using now is unhoused. They could be homeless or unhoused for a number of reasons. And a lot of times students could be displaced. It's not unreasonable for a Lansing police officer to check a scan, which is what my understanding of the evidence was, and see that the card that was last scanned in being this alleged student, and assume that the person that's still in there would be that student. Does the court believe that a greater investigation of that information should have taken place? Absolutely. But do I think that the officers operated in bad faith? I do not. I think it's reasonable to see that that was the last scan. I think that officer from LCT thought he was doing a good investigation by pulling that information. Also by seeing that that person also has a warrant. And that's likely the individual that's in the hallway. I don't know if the LCC officer had any further communication or interaction with the subject in the hallway. But when the officers, and then again, we have a relatively newer officer responding, and then we have Officer Backery. It's been a sworn officer for about 5 years, but that still would make him new to me. He responds, and I found them both to be rather patient, that they had a conversation with the defendant, the person identified in this court as the defendant, Mr. Jamar McReynolds, and Mr. Reynolds explaining how it was that he came about, or why I should say, he was in the hallway trying to stay warm. And the first officer command that I heard or recall what came from Officer Derek Selden, and he said he ordered him to stand up. What I noticed from the People's Exhibit 1A was that the defendant did not immediately comply. He took his time. Officers were patient. It was reasonable for me that he took his time, and that he was patient, that they were patient, because he's putting on his shoes. They tell him that he has a warrant. He immediately states, "No, I don't have a warrant." Officers are believing he's someone else, but he does in fact have warrants. He's saying, "No, I don't have a warrant," which is obviously not true, but his responsibility was to stand up because that was the lawful order. He gets his boots on, he stands up. Officers, he goes back and forth with the officers verbally about whether or not he has a warrant. Officers tell him, turn around and place his hands behind his back. The defendant is seen on the screen immediately raising his hands, even clenching his fist as if he was in a fighting stance. He took an immediate aggressive posture with the officers, and even if the officers didn't respond under the belief that there was a warrant, he's trespassing. He has no lawful right to be in the stairwell. The officers have the discretion to arrest him just on the trespassing. They don't typically do that. They, as they said, typically would put the information in the system. He could or could not be given a citation to report to court later for trespassing. Either way, they did have that discretion. In this particular case, they're operating under, I believe, a reasonable belief that there's a warrant. They gave him a lawful order, and he took a stance and even gave statements that he would fight them if they tried to touch him. He proceeds to pull out a phone. And officers are patiently waiting while he pulls out a phone and starts recording. And then as he's recording and he picks up a heavy winter jacket, I think it's reasonable for officers to take some concern at this point because they had already given him at least 2 lawful commands at this point, and they had enough information and probable cause at this time to make an arrest. But Mr. McReynolds is not being compliant. So the court is satisfied based on the testimony and the video evidence that the people have proven each element beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. McReynolds did make an attempt to assault, resist, or obstruct or oppose the officer in their lawful duties. Let's see. I don't have a reason why we wouldn't be able to proceed to immediate sentencing unless there was an objection to that.
No, Your Honor, we're done with that.
No objection.
Okay, you can make allocution.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. McReynolds, obviously he still suffers from an issue with being unhoused, right? You're staying at the shelter, you said you're staying at the BOA right now, Wood Cross? Okay, so he does have room at the shelter at this point. He does do like side jobs, that sort of thing, but not have any steady income right now. He does go, are you going to church or you just studying just go to the Islamic Center, so he has those community connections. Your Honor, I would just ask that minimal fines and costs if possible. Thank you.
Okay, so you're not employed?
I'm a security, part-time security officer. Recently picked up a part-time job back to fried chicken.
So you're a part-time security officer where?
American Guard.
Excuse me?
American Guard.
Where is that located?
It's located here with companies out of state California.
Okay, where are you stationed, I should say?
I'm stationed here at Lake Switch.
No, what, is there a building or location that you're stationed in?
There is no building, it just has this, meet at Kroger.
You meet at Kroger? And then where do you work? Then what do you secure?
The building.
The Kroger building?
The entrance to the building.
And how many hours a week are you working there?
So, I get roughly 20 to 30 hours.
20 to 30 hours, and then you just picked up another part-time job? Is that a yes, sir?
Yes.
That's at Kentucky Fried Chicken? You said? Which one?
One on Cedar. I'm asking for this case to be dropped.
I just sustained a guilty against you based on the testimony. The case is not going to be dismissed. Okay. You're going to be placed on a term of 6 months probation. While on probation, you need to provide evidence of employment. You have to be at the address of 600 North Grand. I'm not going to order that you do any drops at this time.
Your Honor, that is reporting probation.
It will be non-reporting at this time. He just needs to provide evidence of his employment. He claims he's employed now, so I expect that within the next 14 days, if he'll provide evidence.
Do you want him to provide it to me or to the probation department?
He can provide it to you and you can get it to probation.
Okay. Because I didn't move non-reporting. He's not going downstairs to report to probation right now, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you have any questions about your requirements? Any additional matters for the record?
Nothing further from the people.
One question, Your Honor. So he's reporting, said something about 2 weeks.
Yeah, he needs to get that proof of employment and to probation. He can get it to you and you can get to probation within the next 2 weeks.
2 weeks. And then he's going to be on non-reporting probation for 6 months after that. Basically, no trouble and he'll be gone. Off.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Your Honor. Nope. No further questions.
Any additional matters for the record?
Nothing further from the people. Thank you.
I don't think we saw people. Diana's number sent a voicemail. She's not coming. Is that what it is? She was the one with the health issue. Yeah. Does she have any burn? No. Of course not.
Okay.
You haven't seen Leslie Allison?
Working on Leslie Allison. Called her a little bit while ago. She's in the hospital today. She's not available.
She's in hospital for the day?
Well, starting today, she's checking.
Oh, okay. Do you know how long she's expected to be in hospital?
Yeah.
I'll reset it. October 1st at 10 a.m. October 1st at 10 a.m. Jason Holt did not appear either. Oh. No contact with him.
I argued that exact same issue.
Okay, should be Terence. And then Darren Stricker.
Stricker is here, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we've received proof. We're gonna honor that one.
For Stricker. It's all set.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's a citation, so. I'll just write it on here.
Diana Zimmer, Your Honor, do we handle that?
She, are you moving to dismiss that one?
If I get proof.
Well, she advised that she won't be coming to court. She sent an email or a voicemail maybe. She's not gonna be coming. Did she maybe give a phone number?
No, I
I know
tried
that.
to call the voicemail. One of the voicemails.
Did she have one tomorrow too?
She had one yesterday.
Oh, she had one yesterday. She said she wasn't coming yesterday and she won't be here today either. Just real quick. Because we can't even give her number to the prosecutor to call. Is her number in that file though? Maybe. I think she took up the call. She has a hip issue or something.
Okay.
Okay, I called the number that the voicemail came from, and then I called the one that's in JIS.
No,
They're
the
both
one.
working with me.
Yeah, no, she doesn't have a phone number in here.